Hi everybody, my name is Barry Schwartz and this is the Search Buzz video recap. Today is Friday, August 5th, and this is the search news we covered over at the Search Engine Roundtable at SERoundtable.com over the past week. Just a little note, I think this hopefully will be the last time I'm using this setup. Today a new camera is going to be coming. It's called a Mevo, and it specifically is good for mostly live streaming, so maybe I'm going to do some Facebook Live streaming of this as well as then post it on YouTube. And it has all these cool features, and it's specifically meant for like kind of like this. So I'm looking forward to trying it out. The microphone is supposedly amazing on it, and hopefully you guys will be able to hear me better, and hopefully the setup will be a little bit better than what I have now. We'll see. Okay, so first up we had more discussions or more chatter around the Google algorithm update. And it seems like it possibly reversed the one we talked about from the week before. So give you some history. This past weekend was nothing, but maybe around Monday or Tuesday we saw something. And some people are saying that what we saw was an update or a reversal from the previous week. So 2 weeks ago, this coming Sunday, or a week ago from past Sunday. And there was lots of chatter around that. In fact, a lot of the tools also confirmed that chatter. And Moz showed like 95-degree weather a few hours after I wrote the story, so I put the update there. Any event, it seems to have settled down a little bit. Nobody's really talking about anything. It doesn't seem to be Penguin related, but we're hoping to see Penguin soon. I did post the monthly Google Webmaster Report. I do this every month where you can actually catch up on what you missed for the past month in Google-specific SEO-related topics. And just quickly to go through, the biggest things were several updates we talked about, including a big update with the local search algorithm, which we talked about this past month. We saw lots of chatter around from Google about Penguin, if it's running, if it's not running, when it's going to happen, when it's not going to happen. We discussed how AMP, we'll discuss about it in a few minutes, how AMP's coming to core mobile search. We'll discuss about it in a minute, and that might not be a good thing. We also Google defined impressions, talked about 300 redirects, and page rank still matters. And I'll go through some of this a little bit in the upcoming stories. So let's go into Google expanding AMP. So as you know, AMP is currently heavily used in Google's search for mobile for news publishers that are in the top carousel. But Google announced that they're actually doing a preview now of expanding AMP results directly in the mobile search results. So it's not just a top carousel anymore. And because of that, we'll get into a little bit later how Google removed the requirement for structured data to be in your AMP, because that structured data is only a requirement for the top carousel, but it's not a requirement for AMP specifically. So now you'll see this little AMP logo in the search results. So here's a GIF showing it off, if it works. In any event, when you click and you do a search on your mobile phone, you'll be able to go ahead and get AMP results. I'm not sure why it's not loading. In any event, let me try to show you a preview of it if it works. So you can actually get a preview of it by going to g.co/AMP demo, and you can do a search. I'm not sure if it's going to work. It might give you the desktop results. Yeah, it's not really working. But basically what you'd see is any AMP pages would actually show up as AMP, and when you click on it and actually land on the AMP page itself. And Google's saying there is no ranking boost for this yet. There is obviously a ranking boost for being mobile friendly, which AMP is, and fast, which AMP is, but there is no AMP specific ranking boost here. And because of that, it is what it is. But again, should you go AMP friendly? I showed you these results a few weeks ago that all click-through rates are, you'll see, 0.82%. Mobile is 0.47%, and AMP drops to about half of that, about 0.23%. So our AMP page is actually better for user engagement and so forth. That's something to be defined, and I'm hoping Google will actually come out with results showing that it is or it isn't, because right now I don't believe that it is, based on my results, but we will see. Talking about AMP, Google has, like I mentioned just before, Google has downgraded the AMP error report for structured data issues from errors to notes. Again, because structured data is no longer a requirement for AMP to be AMP compatible or AMP ready, they're downgrading not having that structured data at all from an error to an information node, because if you don't have it, there's no way you'll show up in the top carousel, because you need top carousel, you need structured data to show up in the top carousel. So you might see your AMP pages actually fluctuate and errors might go up or down depending on if you have structured data properly enabled or not. So that's one little note that Google mentioned in their report. Also, with this, Google started sending Google Search Console notifications, which they've done in the past, but only to publishers, but now they're actually sending to all webmasters, saying AMP's coming to mobile search, get ready, and this is what the notification looks like. Create AMP pages to be shown in Google Search. And this was shown by Alan Blue Wise, and I guess other people will be getting this in the near future. A really cool thing that Google did this week was actually release a help document defining the metrics used in the search analytics report in the Google Search Console. So in the Google Search Console, you get different metrics like clicks, impressions, click-through rate, position, and Google has now defined all these different variables in this help document. What's an impression? How they aggregate the data, so position 1 versus average positions based on multiple positions in the search results. How does Google define what position you're in based on like AMP results or carousels and so forth. And then it goes through what is a click, what is an impression, how they differ within carousels. So a click in a carousel depends on the container. The impression has to be scrolled through, whereas the impression on the core results don't have to be scrolled through, and so forth. So I definitely recommend every SEO look at this document. We have a link to it on our Search Engine Roundtable, and read it thoroughly at least twice, because it's pretty useful information. Google AdWords seems to have dropped, finally, the payday loans results from the AdWords listings. They actually pushed it live, I think, a couple weeks ago and said it was being rolling out, and it seems to have rolled out. I mean, based on my test, I can no longer get core high-interest loan websites or core payday loan websites showing up. Some people are saying they still see it, but I guess by now it should be fully rolled out. Of course, you're going to see one or two, and Google has to fix those going forward, but typically you shouldn't see any payday loan sites show up in the AdWords results. Gary from Google said that PageRank, yes, still matters. Somebody asked, does PageRank matter? And he's like, yes, it still matters. I'm not sure why people would think it doesn't matter. I guess because Google got rid of PageRank in the toolbar months ago, and Google's saying, oh, they don't have it in the toolbar, people don't think it matters anymore. But yes, it definitely does matter. Google still uses it internally, although we don't know what that number is. Google, John Mueller went again and described in a video how they may treat subdomains differently than subdirectories, and the truth is they don't. They'll look at it and they'll say, should we treat this subdomain as this or that, or should we treat this subdirectory as this or that? It's not like if you have a subdomain, it's going to treat it one way definitively versus a subdirectory. It really depends on the case and how you're actually using that. So definitely watch that video if you are using a lot of subdirectories or subdomains. It might help you. Google said also that they don't go ahead and use different Googlebot user agents for crawling heavier JavaScript like Ajax and so forth. Though they might not go ahead and render the JavaScript immediately on the first crawl. It might take another crawl, or it might take later, it might be another process. But the user agent that's crawling that page is not different. It's like beefed up Googlebot or deep crawl Googlebot or something like that. It's the same Googlebot that it would for regular HTML. Google is recommending that you do update your links after you move to a new domain. Like if somebody's linking to you and they're like, I moved from seroundtable.com to searchengineroundtable.com, Google will say, all right, go out to your people linking to you and tell them to update their links. Google said that you should try to do that, but there is no critical loss if you do not, instead assuming you set up the redirects. So that's a good note to make. Google Search Console had a bug this week where they set all devices to desktop traffic for a period of time. It specifically was between the dates of July 29th and August 1st, and I believe they fixed it now. But if you actually filter Google Search Console by device, you'll see all the traffic set to desktop specifically for that range, even though it might have been mobile or tablet. Google has now, or is pushing out shortly on Google.com, strict HTTPS support. So it's called HSTS. It's strict transport security migration. I've done it for this site, Search and Roundtable, on a bunch of sites a while ago, but for Google, it's obviously a lot of moving parts and they had to wait it off. But basically, Google said they turned it on, so that means to you that you're not provided should be 100% going forward. There's no longer a small chance that Google might go ahead and show queries to you, because if they turn this on in strict sense, it will force everything, no matter what, over HTTPS, which will block, obviously, the queries. Google Analytics launched a public demo account for everybody to play with. It's basically of the Google Merchant Store, and you can actually click on this link from our site and get into the demo account, which will give you a full setup with all the cool features of Google Analytics in one account that you can play with and actually learn from, which will be pretty cool. Yahoo Search, for some reason, is testing a new interface. I don't know why, because they're going to be acquired by Verizon. But here you can see it. You see the old interface has the Yahoo logo over here, and the new one has the Yahoo logo over there. I guess they're making room for the Verizon logo. I'm just kidding. I don't know. It's probably way too early for them to be doing that. And Google and Bing are prepping for the Rio Summer Olympics. They all have their cool search results where you can actually do searches for like medal counts or athlete information or predictions in Bing, and they'll give you some cool search results for that. And finally, Google and Bing have dressed up their homepages for the Olympics as well. Google went with this Doodle Fruit Olympics thing, so they actually could download an Android or iOS app and play the Doodle Fruit Olympics, or Fruit Games, which is pretty interesting. And Bing has a nice Olympics background going on there. There is an issue with using the the Olympics logo, I believe, and the Rio name. There's some type of issue. They don't want you tweeting it. They don't want you. It's very weird. They're really not into social media on this Olympics year round, and they're trying to limit the use of those trademarks, which is complete opposite of how digital marketing and all this stuff works these days. In any event, I hope everybody has a great weekend. And again, hopefully this camera setup will be a little bit different next week. I'll be playing with it during the week to make sure it's all ready, and hopefully the experience will be a little bit better. In any event, thanks so much for listening to the Search Buzz Video Recap. My name again is Barry Schwartz, and this is the search news we covered over the past week at the Search Engine Roundtable at seroundtable.com. Again, today is Friday, August 5th. Everyone have a great weekend. I'll see you guys next. Bye.